Who chooses the Chief Justice of India? Why does the government ask the current CGI about its successor? And how CGI appointment is a classic case study of not just separation of power but also constitutional balance. When the time comes to appoint the new Chief Justice of India, the process might look simple, but behind it lies a fascinating balance between the executive as well as judiciary. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to talk about the process of appointment of Chief Justice of India. Who does it? Is it the government? Is it the current sitting Chief Justice of India? Or is it the judiciary? So let us start with understanding that how this process has come to limelight. So basically the government is seeking the recommendation of present Chief Justice, that is B.R. Gavai, for the recommendation of its successor. So this process has been initiated by the government because the current Chief Justice of India is due to retire on November 24th of this very year. And based on seniority, it is Justice Surya Kant who sits next in the line. But the question is, what say does the constitution have in it? Why is government starting this process? What is the role of the government and depth of the role involved and how it actually plays out. So let us try to understand. The first thing that we will be looking into is the constitutional basis. If we talk about Article 124 of the Constitution, it is the one which establishes the Supreme Court, outlines the composition and also speaks about the appointments there. So in Article 124(2), it is clearly mentioned that judges of the Supreme Court, they are going to appointed by President of India. But one thing that you have to understand here, that there is no explicit mention or a dedicated provision about how Chief Justice of India would be appointed. So there is a mention that how Supreme Court judges would be appointed, but there is no mention that how Chief Justice of India would be appointed. So with time, there has been a convention that has developed that it is usually the senior most judge in line who is appointed as Chief Justice of India. So as of now, we have B.R. Gavai at the CGI post, and after his retirement, the senior most justice, that is Justice Surya Kant, he will be appointed as Chief Justice of India. Now this convention, it is not mentioned in Constitution. So we have to understand that the provisions are different and convention has come in separately from there. Now this convention has helped not only to ensure proper continuity but also proper experience and most importantly separation of power, that is independence in the judicial hierarchy, which is very important. Another important factor that comes here is the fact that the selection is absolutely non-political in nature. Because we are going by the seniority convention, this also ensures that there is no direct political intervention as well. Now the question that must be coming in your mind, that why government is seeking or initiating this process? What is the role of government in appointment of CGI? Now let us understand that part. So this process starts from the law minister itself, and this law minister writes to the CGI for knowing the successor for the next CGI. Now in this situation, I have a question for you. Who is the present law minister of India? Can you tell me in the comment section? Now when CGI gives the recommendation, that recommendation comes to the law ministry. Now that law ministry forwards that recommendation to the PM, Prime Minister's office. Now Prime Minister advises President, and as per Article 124(2), President appoints the CGI. One important thing that you need to know here is CGI recommends the senior most judge who is present in Supreme Court. Now this is not a legal requirement. This is not established by law anywhere. This is just a constitutional convention that is in place. So whoever is the outgoing CGI, he will formally recommend the senior most judge of the Supreme Court, and this whole process is panned out. Now this communication ensures that executive is not getting to decide the head of judiciary unilaterally on its own. There is a due involvement of the judiciary head in the appointment of successor, ensuring a constitutional balance and due separation of power between executive as well as judiciary. So, in one place we get to see judiciary's independence, and at one place we get to see executive completing the whole formal process of the appointment of the next CJI. Now that we have established that appointment of Chief Justice of India is done by Seniority Convention, let me also highlight that there have been exceptions to it as well. So when we are talking about the exceptions, we have seen it twice. Once in 1973 and another time in 1977, both during the times of Indira Gandhi. So when we are talking about Indira Gandhi, in the first incident in 1973, Indira Gandhi government went ahead and appointed Justice A.N. Ray, and there were 3 senior judges who were in line. So A.N. Ray superseded these 3 senior judges, and then it was repeated for Justice M.H. Beg, who was brought over already an existing senior Justice H.R. Khanna. Both of these incidents occurred during Indira Gandhi's time, and they were criticized heavily because this deviation marked the fact that executive is pushing the line of its role and entering and disturbing the independence of judiciary. After these 2 incidents, we have not seen violation of Seniority Convention ever. But this marked a heavy criticism time when the independence of our judiciary was heavily compromised. Now that we have a clear idea of a Seniority Convention, I would like to bring in the collegium system here, because few of you might have a confusion. What does collegium system has to do with appointment of CJI? So let me clarify here that when we are talking about collegium system, it has to do only with appointment of Supreme Court judges and High Court judges, but there is no role of collegium when we are talking about appointment of Chief Justice of India. I have explained the detailed procedure in itself, and collegium system has nothing to do with it. When we are talking about appointment of Chief Justice of India, it comes by direct and only recommendation of the outgoing CJI. The reason we see that collegium system is not used here, because if it would have been used, there would have been no separation between conflict of interest as well as institutional propriety. That is why we are not going to talk about collegium system, especially when it comes to appointment of Chief Justice of India. Now that we have mentioned the collegium system, it becomes important to bring in NJEC, National Judicial Appointment Committee. Can you tell me in the comment section in which constitutional amendment this was introduced and in which year it was nullified by Supreme Court? Now that we have understood the whole process, now let us conclude on the lines of understanding the broader significance, especially related to constitution. Because the appointment of CJI is not merely an administrative act, it is basically reinforcement of constitutional ethos that exist, and that is why we get to see through this very process the independence of judiciary and also the limited executive discretion which is present, and we have also seen through exceptions that how this can overpower the independence of judiciary as well. This also clearly shows the fine balance of checks that exist between the different wings. Here judiciary recommends, executive is the one which formalizes it, and then president goes ahead and makes the appointment. And then we also find that this ensures a non-political process so that the judiciary head is not a politicized post, and this all clearly leads to embodiment of the constitutional morality. That means we are respecting traditions, we are respecting conventions that are upholding democratic integrity. Now, what do you think about this? Let me know in the comment section. That was all for now. Thank you so much.